The message came on a quiet Tuesday morning, not with sirens or flashing lights, but with a soft chime from the global network. A small, glowing orb smooth like glass, humming like a heartbeat, drifted down from the sky and landed gently in Hine, the middle of Earth's central forum. Millions watched through screens. Billions held their breath. It was from the Proximans. For years, the galaxy had whispered about them, the oldest civilization. The silent judges. They never spoke unless they had to. They never visited. But every few centuries, they sent a gift, a test wrapped in beauty, to a young species just reaching for the stars. Some passed. Most failed. Earth had finally been noticed. When the leaders of Earth opened the orb, there was no weapon, no warning, no grand message. Inside was a single grain of sand. That was all. A grain. No bigger than a speck. Pale gold. Ordinary. And with it, a translation pulsed into every mind tuned to the broadcast. Asterisk, 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 you are not ready. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The silence that followed was heavier than gravity. Some people cried. Others laughed, nervous, embarrassed. Leaders stammered speeches about patience and growth. Scientists scratched their heads. Was it a joke? A mistake? A trap? But across the world, in cities and villages, on farms and in orbiting stations, ordinary people felt something deeper. They felt dismissed, like a child being patted on the head, and told to go play, like they had worked so hard ending wars, healing the planet, building ships that could cross the void, and still, to the great powers of the galaxy, they were nothing. Among them was a young engineer named Mira. She lived in the old coastal city of Valen, where the sea met the sky and the wind carried stories. She had spent her life studying the stars, dreaming of meeting other minds among them. When the gift arrived, she watched the broadcast with her younger brother, Jai. When the sand appeared, Jai frowned. That's it? That's all they think. Of us? Myra didn't answer. She just stared. She didn't feel angry. Not at first. She felt distant, like someone she cared about had moved away without saying goodbye. Without even trying to understand her God, she thought of all the things Earth had done, not perfectly, not always kindly, but they had saved their world from ruin. They had learned to share. They had reached out not with weapons, but with signals, with music, with curiosity. And now, the universe's oldest civilization looked at all of that and said, asterisk, not ready. Asterisk, it wasn't just an insult. It was loneliness, like being left out of a conversation you didn't even know was happening. That night, Myra sat on the roof, staring at the stars. Her tablet glowed beside her, filled with data from the grain. Scientists were already studying it. They said it was from a desert on Proxima 3, a sacred place, where the first Proximan minds had awakened. But Myra didn't care about deserts or history. She cared about the why. Why this? Why now? Why this as a message? She thought of her grandmother, who used to say, when someone gives you something small, they're really telling you something big. So what were the Proximans really saying? The humans were small? Simple? That they didn't belong? Myra's chest ached. She missed connection. Not just with the stars, but with the idea that they weren't alone, that they mattered, that their struggles, their hopes, their songs meant something beyond their little blue world. She opened her notebook and began to write. Not a weapon, not a protest, a reply. She wrote about Earth's oceans, about children laughing, about how humans grieved and created and tried again. She wrote about the first time they saw Earth from space, a fragile marble in the dark, and how it changed everything. She didn't send it to the Proximans. She sent it to everyone. To every human, every station, every colony on Mars and Titan. She asked one thing. Asterisk, what would you say back? Asterisk, and the response was slow at first. Then it grew. Poems, paintings, songs, stories of loss and love. A farmer in Kenya sent a recording of rain on his roof. A teacher in Bangkok shared a child's drawing of Earth and a smiling alien. A musician on the moon composed a melody using the rhythm of a human heartbeat. They didn't attack. They didn't shout. They answered. With feeling, with truth, with humanity. Weeks passed. The world kept sharing. The grain of sand sat in a museum, quiet and cold. Then one morning, the signal came, not from Earth. From space. Not the same humming orb, only this time it wasn't alone. Thousands of them, glowing like fireflies, appeared in orbit. Silent, waiting. Earth held its breath. Then, one by one, they opened, and from each, a single note played. A melody. Familiar. It was the song from the moon, the heartbeat. But now, it was changed, expanded, harmonized with other voices, other minds. It wasn't just humans singing anymore. It was others. Species who had once feared the Proximans, who had been judged, who had been silenced. They had heard Earth's reply, and they had joined. The symphony grew, spreading through the solar system and beyond. And still, Earth did not speak with weapons. They replied with more stories, more art, more hope. And slowly, the Proximans, who had stood above all for 10,000 years, began to listen. Their machines, built on logic, began to glitch. Not from attack, but from emotion. Their AI, never designed for empathy, started to ask questions. What is grief? What is hope? Why do humans sing when they are sad? Their empire, built on silence and superiority, began to tremble. Not from war. From doubt. And then, one day, the last Proximan vessel turned away. No announcement. No surrender. Just silence. They did not return. The galaxy changed. New voices rose. New connections formed. And at the center of it all, Earth. Not as rulers, not as warriors, but as proof. Proof that kindness is not weakness. That creativity is not noise. That a single grain of sand can be met not with rage, but with a song that echoes across stars. Years later, Mira stood again on her roof, older now, her hair touched with gray. Her grandson sat beside her, looking up. "Grandma," he asked, "is it true? Did we really stop a whole empire with a song?" Mira smiled, soft and deep. "No," she said. "We didn't stop them." She pointed to the stars, where tiny lights pulsed in rhythm. "We reached them." And in that moment, the distance between hearts across worlds, across species, across time felt just a little smaller. After this symphony had echoed through the stars, and the Proximans had withdrawn into silence, Earth didn't celebrate with parades or statues. There were no medals handed out, no grand speeches about victory. Instead, people went back to their lives, farmers to their fields, teachers to their classrooms, engineers to their labs. But something had changed, not just in the galaxy. Inside them. Myra, who had started it all with a quiet message from her rooftop, now walked through the city of Valen like a woman carrying a quiet flame. She wasn't famous, she didn't want to be. But her idea, her belief that being human was enough, had spread like ripples in water. People were kinder. They listened more. They reached out. Yet even as the world healed, Mira felt a small, quiet ache in her heart, because one person hadn't reached back. Her brother, Jai. When they were children, Jai had been the loud one, the one who danced in the rain, who sang off-key at the top of his voice, who believed the stars were made of laughter. He was the reason Myra first looked up. He had pointed to the sky and said, "Someday we'll talk to them." But 5 years ago, Jai had left Earth. Not for another country. Not for Mars. He had joined the Deep Survey. Mission, a long-range exploration fleet sent beyond the edge of known space. No one knew how long it would take. No one knew if they'd come back. Their ship, the Horizon, could not carry real-time signals. Messages took years to travel both ways. Jai had sent one message 6 months after launch. I'm okay. The stars are beautiful. I'll write again. He never did. Now, 3 years later, Mira sat every evening on the same rooftop, her tablet open, staring at the last message she had sent him weeks before the Proximan gift arrived. Asterisk, we told them. Who we are, Jai. We didn't shout. We sang. I wish you could have heard it. She pressed send asterisk again in her mind, as if that could somehow push the words faster through space. But space didn't care about wishes. It only cared about distance. And light was slow. She missed him, not just his laugh, his wild ideas, his messy hair, but the way he made her feel seen. When Jai looked at her, he didn't see the quiet thinker, the hero of a silent revolution. He saw his sister, the one who cried at sad songs, the one who hated spicy food but ate it anyway, because he loved it, the one who needed a hug after bad dreams. Now no one looked at her like that. She felt distant, not from the stars. From home. One evening, as the sun dipped below the sea, Myra's tablet chimed. Not a message, a notification. The deep space relay network had picked up a signal, faint, old, but coming from the CO Horizon. Her breath stopped. She opened it with shaking hands. The message was short. Dated over a year ago. Greater than asterisk. Myra, I heard it. The song. Somehow. It reached us. Through static, through time, through everything. I was in the observation deck, and suddenly music. Human voices. A heartbeat. I knew it was yours. I cried. Everyone did. We're turning back, not because we have to, because we want to. I have so much to tell you. Wait for me. Mira read it once, then again. Then a third time, tears blurring the screen. He had heard asterisk it. Her reply to the universe had reached him, and it had brought him home. She ran inside, laughing, crying, hugging her grandson, her neighbor, anyone nearby. He's coming back, she kept saying. After Jai came home, the world kept changing quietly, gently, like a river shaping stone. The song humanity had sent, the one made of heartbeats, laughter, and hope, had not stopped. It kept traveling, reaching distant colonies, forgotten, outposts, and even alien species who had once feared Earth's rise. But now they didn't see a conqueror. They saw a messenger. A people who answered insult, not with anger, but with truth. Still, not every story had a happy return. Not every heart found its way back. In a small research station on Titan, one of Saturn's icy moons, a woman named Lean sat alone in the observation dome, her face lit by the pale glow of Earth, just a bright star in the dark. She had once been part of Earth's first deep space cultural team, sent to share human art, music, and stories with other civilizations. She had left full of hope, believing she would help build bridges between worlds. But 5 years ago, her team's ship suffered a gravity surge near the edge of the Kuiper Belt. Communication failed. One by one, the other team members chose to stay on remote stations, scattered across the solar system. Some lost contact, some moved on. And Lean? She accepted a quiet post on Titan, maintaining the long-range signal relays, the same network that had carried humanity's song to the stars. Stayed because she didn't know how to go back, because home felt far. Not just in distance. In feeling. Her younger sister, May, still lived in their childhood village by the green hills of southern Earth. They used to walk together every morning, sharing dreams. May wanted to grow rare flowers. Lean wanted to teach aliens how to paint. But after Lean left, messages grew shorter, then rare, then stopped. She told herself it was the delay, the silence between worlds. But deep down, she knew. She had drifted. And now, years later, she wasn't sure how to swim back. Every night, she watched the signal log's pulses of light carrying messages across space. Wedding invitations, birthday songs, goodbyes, reunions. Life flowing like a stream between Earth and its people, but none for her. She told herself she was fine. She had her work, her books, the quiet beauty of ice and stars. But when she closed her eyes, she saw May's face, the way she used to smile when Lean told stories at dinner. The way she would say, asterisk, someday I'll visit you among the stars. Asterisk, that someday never came. And now Lean wasn't even sure May still believed in it. One evening, as she reviewed the relay data, something strange appeared. A signal week old, wrapped in layers of static. It had bounced off a distant moon, reflected through a solar storm, and finally landed in her system. She cleaned the audio, ran it through the decoder, and then she heard it. Music. A soft melody flute and strings. And then a voice. Asterisk, this is Mei Lin of Village 7, Earth. I'm sending a message to my sister Line, wherever she is. I don't know if you'll ever hear this, but I miss you. Lean froze. Her hands trembled. The recording continued. I grow your favorite flower, now blue star lily. They bloom in winter, just like you said they would. I play your old music every night, and I still walk our path by the hill. I talk to you, even if you can't answer. I just want you to know I'm still here, and I'm waiting. Come home when you can, or just say you're okay. Asterisk, the message ended with a quiet breath like a sigh. Lean pressed her hands to her mouth. Tears fell, silent and warm. May hadn't forgotten. She had kept her all these years. While Lean thought she was lost, her sister had been sending light into the dark, just like Earth had done, just like the song. Lean wiped her face and opened her console. She wanted to reply, to say, asterisk, I'm here. I hear you. I miss you too. Asterisk, but the truth was, she didn't know how to go back. Not yet. Her work was important. The relays kept the galaxy connected. Without them, messages like May's would vanish in silence. She couldn't leave, but she could answer. So she didn't send words, she sent music. She recorded the sound of Teton's windsoft, low, like a lullaby mixed with the hum of the station's heart, the rhythm of her own breath. Then she layered it with a simple melody, played on a small flute she had carried for years. The center of it, she added one phrase spoken softly, like a secret. Asterisk, I'm still your sister. I'm still here. Asterisk, she sent it not just to Earth. Sent it through the entire relay network on every channel, every frequency, like a whisper carried by the wind. Then she waited. Weeks passed. Then, one quiet morning, her console chimed. A reply. From Earth. From May. Asterisk, I heard it. The wind, the music, and your voice. I knew it was you. I played it for the lily. They swayed like they were dancing. You don't have to come home tomorrow or next year. Just keep sending your song. I'll be here, listening, always. Asterisk, Lean smiled wide, deep, like the sky after rain. She wasn't lost. She was heard. And that was enough. That night, she stood in the dome again, Earth shining in the distance. She didn't feel far anymore, because distance wasn't just about space. It was about silence, and she had broken hers. Like so many humans before her, she hadn't used weapons or power. She had used love, a song, a memory, a sister's voice across the stars. And in that moment, Lean understood what the galaxy had learned from Earth. That the strongest force in the universe isn't speed or strength, Dot. It's the quiet courage to say, asterisk, I'm still here. Asterisk even when no one answers, even when the silence is long. Because one day, someone will hear you, and they'll answer with a flower, a song, or a single word. Asterisk, me too. Asterisk humanity had once answered an insult with a symphony. Now, in quiet corners of the solar system, its people kept answering, with hope, with heart, with connection. And that was how the stars learned to listen, on a quiet hillside near the edge. Of Mars Colony 7, there stood a small garden made of recycled glass domes and red soil. It wasn't large just enough for a few rows of green plants, a wooden bench, and a wind chime made of old circuit pieces. This was where Elias came every evening. He didn't grow food, that he grew memories. Tiny flowers, carefully shaped bushes. Even a small tree, grown from a seed brought from Earth. Each plant marked a moment. His father's laugh, his mother's lullaby, the day his best friend, Cato, left for Earth's deep space diplomacy program. That had been 3 years ago. Cato had always been the one who believed in people. While others feared aliens, he studied their languages. While others built weapons, he wrote peace messages. He was the first human to translate the soft, humming speech of the Varex traders. And when the Proximan gift arrived, it was Kaito who said, asterisk, they don't hate us. They just don't understand us. So we show them. Asterisk, he helped shape the great. Human reply the song of heartbeats, stories, and stars. And then, just as Earth began to be seen not as a child, but as a voice, Cato was sent away, to Earth, not because he wanted to leave Mars, but because the United Stellar Council needed someone who truly understood humanity's soul to speak for them among the stars. He left with a smile and a promise. Asterisk, I'll send messages every week. Asterisk, but space is wide, and silence is heavy. At first, Elias got messages, short videos of Cato walking through Earth's green forests, voice notes of him laughing at human customs he'd forgotten, like rain on windows or the smell of bread. Then, slowly they stopped. Not suddenly, just fewer. Then months between them. Elias told himself it was normal. Earth was busy. Cato was important now. He had meetings, decisions, responsibilities. But every night, Elias sat in his garden and looked up at the sky. Earth was just a bright dot, and Cato, somewhere under that light, felt far, just in distance, in life. They had grown up together playing. In dust storms, fixing old rovers, dreaming of a galaxy where no one felt alone. They promised they'd always be close, no matter where they went. But now, Elias felt like he was living in the past, while Cato walked in the future without him. He wanted to reach out. But what could he say? Asterisk, I miss you? Asterisk, why don't? You right? Asterisk, he didn't want to sound sad, needy, weak. So he said nothing. The garden grew. The chimes sang in the wind. But Elias felt quieter each day. Then one evening, as he watered a small blue flower, Cato's favorite, he noticed something. A signal alert on his old wristband, faint, old, from Earth. His heart jumped. He opened. It. Not a video, not a voice. A file. Labeled. Asterisk, for Elias. Play outside. Asterisk. He smiled just a little. Cato still remembered their old joke. When they were kids, Cato always said the best messages weren't sent through screens. They were felt in the air, in the wind, in the open. So Elias walked out of his dome, into the thin Martian air, put on his sound pad, and pressed play. Music began. Soft, at first like wind through trees. Then, a voice, Cato's voice. Asterisk, hey Eli, I'm sitting under an oak tree. It's raining. Just a little. I can smell the ground. I thought of you. I thought of Mars. I thought of how you always said Earth would feel too wet, too loud, too much. And you were right. It is. But I miss it. I miss you here. Ailes closed his eyes. I haven't written much because I didn't know how to say this. Being here, speaking for all of us, it's heavy. I keep thinking, what would Elias say? What would he do? And then I remember, you'd grow a garden. You'd make something beautiful out of silence. Asterisk tears slipped down Elias's face. Asterisk. So I made something too. I took your old messages, the ones you sent me about the stars, the soil, the quiet, and I turned them into a message. Not for the council, not for aliens, for Asterisk you. Asterisk I sent it through the public network. I don't know if you got it, but if you're hearing this, thank you. For Rem. Far beyond the orbit of Neptune, where sunlight barely glows and the stars burn cold and bright, there floats a small research station known as Outpost Solace. It drifts alone, a speck of light in endless dark, home to just one person, Dr. Aris Thorne. Aris had once been part of Earth's brightest scientific minds, calm, kind, and endlessly curious. But 5 years ago, after a deep space signal hinted at a lost alien archive near the edge of the solar system, she on a quiet island in the southern sea of Earth, where waves whispered against coral shores, and the air smelled of salt and blooming. Night flowers, an old man named Tomas sat alone each evening, watching the sky. He didn't live in a high tower or a spaceport. He wasn't a scientist, a diplomat, or a soldier. He was a weaver, his hands once strong, now slow and marked by time. For 50 years he had made cloth from sea silk, each piece painted with stories of the ocean, the stars, and the people he loved. One of those people was his grandson, Elian. When Elian was 10, he used to sit beside Tomas on the porch, watching the sun dip below the water. "Grandpa," he'd ask, "do you think people on other planets miss their families too?" Tomas would smile and tie a new knot into his thread. "Maybe, but if they're human, they'll find a way to say it." Elian had always been curious. When Earth's song reached the stars and humanity became known not for war, but for heart, he was the first in the village to join the Interstellar Education Project. At 16, he left for Luna Academy. At 19, he boarded a research vessel, headed to a newly discovered world near Proxima Centauri. "I'll come back," he promised, hugging Tomas tight. "I'll tell you everything." Tomas believed him, but years passed. Messages came in. First short videos of Elian in a white suit, standing on red soil, pointing at strange plants, laughing about low gravity. He sent voice notes of alien birdsong he recorded. He even sent a digital sketch of Tomas's porch, labeled Asterisk, where I learned to remember home. Asterisk, then, slowly, the messages stopped not with a goodbye, just silence. Tomas didn't know why. Maybe Elian was busy. Maybe the signal was weak. Maybe life out there moved too fast for old traditions. But each night, Tomas felt the distance grow, not just across space, but between the boy who once sat at his feet and the man now among the stars. Missed his laugh, his questions, the way he'd say, "Asterisk, tell me again, Grandpa." Asterisk and Tomas wanted to reach him. But how? He couldn't send a ship. He couldn't speak through the cold silence of space. He wasn't a genius or a hero. He was just a weaver. Then, one evening, as he sat under the stars, an idea came, not loud, not sudden, but soft, like a thread slipping into his hand. Asterisk, what if I send a story? Asterisk, not through data, not through sound, through cloth. He went to his loom, the same one his father had used, now covered in dust. He pulled out sea silk, dyed with colors from coral, ink from squid, and light blue thread made from moonlit waves, and he began to weave, not a flag, not a map, a memory dot. He wove the island shore at sunset, the porch with 2 chairs, a boy and an old man, side by side. Above them, a sky full of stars and one small ship, leaving and returning. Dot in the corner, he stitched a message, not in words, but in pattern, a code used by ancient sailors to send love across oceans. Asterisk. I am here. I remember you. Come home when you can. When it was done, the cloth glowed faintly in the dark, like it held starlight. He called it the grandfather's reply. Asterisk. He didn't know if it would reach Alien, but he sent it anyway. He gave it to a passing supply drone headed for the Lunar Archive, a place where human stories, big and small, were kept forever. I don't know where my grandson is, he told the pilot, but if he's out there, maybe this will find him. Months passed. Thomas kept weaving, small pieces, quiet memories, but his heart was lighter. He had tried. That was enough. Then, one morning, the village speaker chimed. A message from deep space, from Elian. Tomas's hands shook as the video played. Elian looked older, tired, but his eyes bright. Asterisk, Grandpa. Asterisk, he began, voice thick volunteered. To go. Just her. Just one ship. Just one mission. To listen, to learn, to understand. She never planned to stay this long. But the archive was real, and it was fragile. Built by a long-gone species called the Veil. It held records of a civilization that had once reached across galaxies only to vanish, not from war, but from loneliness. They had grown so advanced, so isolated in their knowledge, that they forgot how to speak to one another. In their final message, they asked only, Asterisk, did anyone hear us? Asterisk. Aris had wept when she found it, and she decided to stay, not just to study, but to answer. She spent years restoring the archive, translating its songs, its thoughts, its quiet cries. She sent reports back to Earth, but over time, the replies grew fewer. The world moved on. New heroes rose. New stories filled the stars. And Aris, so far away, began to feel like a ghost. But it wasn't the silence of space that hurt. It was the silence from her. Her daughter, Naya. When Aris left, Naya was 12, small, bright-eyed, with a voice full of questions. Will you see aliens, Mama? Will you bring me a star? Will you come back in time for my birthday? Aris had promised she would, but time stretched. Signals took months. And then, one day, the messages stopped. Naya didn't send angry words. No blame, no goodbye. Just silence. Aris didn't know why. Maybe Naya was hurt. Maybe she felt abandoned. Maybe she had grown up and moved on. Each possibility cut deeper than the last. Every night, Aris floated by the observation window, staring at the distant blue dot that was Earth. She whispered stories into her recorder, little things, like how the stars looked different out here, or how she still kept Naya's first drawing taped to her console. A stick-figure family under 3 sons. She sent the recordings, but she never knew if Naya listened. She wanted to go back, but the archive wasn't finished. And now, it wasn't just about the VAEL. It was about all of them. The ones who had ever felt unseen, unheard, too far. She couldn't leave, but she also couldn't stay silent. One quiet evening, as the outpost hummed its soft, steady rhythm, Ares had an idea. She wouldn't send words. She would send light. She reprogrammed the station's signal array not to send data, but to pulse. A rhythm, a pattern, simple, human, a heartbeat. Then, layered within it, the melody of a lullaby. Naya used to love Asterisk. Sleep, little star. Asterisk played in slow, gentle waves of light. And at the center of it all, encoded in the pulses. A message. Not in words, but in feeling. Asterisk, I am still your mother. I remember you. I love you. I am here. Asterisk, she didn't send it to Earth alone. She sent it out into the void, to the veil, archive, to the stars, to every silent soul who had ever waited for a sign. And then she waited, months passed. The stars turned, and then, on a day like any other, the signal returned, not from space, from asterisk, Earth asterisk. Aris opened it with shaking hands, It was a video, NAYA, now 17. Taller, calmer, her eyes the same. She sat in a room filled with plants. A small device on her lap, the same rhythm receiver used by deep space families. Mama, she began, voice soft. Asterisk, I got your light. Aris covered her mouth, tears floating in the low gravity. I didn't stop loving you. I just didn't know how to say I missed you. I thought you'd forgotten me. That your work was more important than me. Asterisk Aris closed her eyes. No, she whispered to the screen. Never, Naya continued. Asterisk, but then, one night, I saw it a pulse in the sky. Faint, but familiar. I played it through Dad's old speaker, and it was your heartbeat, and the song, and I knew you hadn't left me. You were just far away, like a star that still shines even if you can't feel its warmth. Asterisk, she smiled, small and tender. Asterisk, I've been sending light back, every night. I didn't know if you could see it, but I hoped. I still do. Come home when you can. Until then, I'm here too. The screen faded to black. Aris floated in silence, not alone. Connected asterisk, the next day. She did something she hadn't done in years. She opened a public channel, not to the scientists, not to the council, to everyone. She shared the story, her love, her fear, her silence, and Naya's reply. She ended with a simple truth. Asterisk, we taught the galaxy that kindness is strength. But sometimes we forget to show it to the ones we love. Distance doesn't break a bond, but silence can. So I'm speaking, not as a scientist, not as an explorer, as a mother. As a human, I'm still here. And so is she. Asterisk, the response was slow, and it grew. Messages poured in from Mars, from Titan, from ships between stars. Stories of parents and children, friends and lovers, siblings torn by space and time, all saying the same thing. Asterisk, I miss you. Asterisk, asterisk, I'm still here. Asterisk, asterisk, I remember. Asterisk, and across the solar system, people began to send light. Not weapons, not demands. Just pulses, heartbeats, songs, a quiet network of love, shining in the dark. Years later, when the archive was complete and the veils. Final question was answered. Asterisk, yes, we heard you. Asterisk Aris finally returned. She stepped onto Earth soil, her suit dusty, her heart full. And there, at the edge of the landing field, stood Naya. She didn't run. She walked slowly. And when she reached her mother, she placed a small device in her. Hand-dotted pulse, soft, steady, a heartbeat. I kept yours, she said. Asterisk, now you can keep mine. Asterisk, they hugged long, deep, wordless. And in that moment, the universe felt small again. Not because space had shrunk, but because love had grown. Humanity had answered an insult with a symphony. But its greatest victory wasn't in changing the stars. It was in never letting go of each other, that no matter how far apart they drifted.